All right, I think we're in business here. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 14
Hi.
of the Rocket Punch Show. I'm your host, Spartan915, a.k.a. Axie Kearns, Cameron here. Joining with me is my co-host, of course, Spartan256, at Darth Turner, a.k.a. Seth. Seth, how are you doing,
here
man?
From my kitchen.
I know, man, this
Listen,
kitchen looks
I'm hanging
really
out here.
nice.
I'm in the kitchen that is powered by the Microsoft Cloud. You know, it's got the energy, the power of X surrounds us. It binds the galaxy together. I'm here. I'm ready. I'm ready for Thursday. I'm ready to see all the Spartans numbers. I'm ready to see everything. I'm so excited for Thursday. It is going to be the best. I cannot wait.
I'm excited for it as well. I really want to see what all the secrets that Xbox has got under the floorboards there over at Microsoft HQ.
Well, the secrets are hidden in the fridge, dude.
Oh, they're in the fridge.
It's right back here.
Okay.
They're in the fridge.
I might have
they're so cool.
Ooh, boy, man, that was a tough one. That was a tough one.
If you're an only listener, I apologize. You need some additional context here. I have the infamous Series X fridge image behind me that will be my backdrop for the remainder of this episode. I thought it would be a fun little exercise for me to change up the backdrops every episode. I was bored with the Star Destroyer bridge, which was really cool.
It is very cool. It is very
I
cool.
wanted to do something a little bit more on point, so.
Well, I'm boring AF. I'm just keeping the same normal background that I've always had, because some people don't.
It's
like
a cool
change,
background.
So.
It's a cool background.
It's all right. It's all right. No, Seth, it's been a week removed. I'm back from going out of town, back here, ready to get some more game talk going. How's the week been for you?
It has been pretty good. It has. Also, you don't have to apologize for your absence. My absence was 3 years, so don't worry, dude. Don't worry about it. For those of you who do not know, I'm Seth Turner. I'm back on. I was one of the original founders of Rocket Punch. Ducked out around 2016, 2017-ish. And now I am back on as full-time host. Very excited to be joining back here. But no, it's been a fantastic week. I've been playing a lot of CrossCode on Game Pass. I have been spending a lot of time getting my Legos organized. I'm super into Legos, so I've got a system down. I'm actually thinking about streaming Lego builds, but I got it down. I went through and sorted everything by color, then sub-sorted the colors by whether or not they are plates or bricks. So if I'm pulling up like instructions and I know I need, this specific color plate, it's going to be in this bag versus which are going to be the taller, more bricky things. I got it down, Cameron.
Okay.
I spent a lot of time on Legos.
I
a lot of time on Legos.
I've talked to you about it, but I wish. I love Legos, but because of the people that are in my house, I can't have Legos around because they'll either get lost or broken or stolen or missing in some variation of those terms. The one I really want, since we live in Huntsville, is the Saturn V Lego set.
You know what?
Really hard to find.
Look out for it. If I see the Saturn V Lego, I'll send it over your way.
Okay, I appreciate that.
And get you hooked up because I've got my little birds. Let me use a dated reference here. I've got my little birds.
Is it dated? That's still relevant. You still talk about Game of Thrones.
It's relevant, but I think that show lost steam after it ended.
It ended, so I get that. That's probably why it lost some steam. So
yeah.
I 100% get that. No.
Anyway, this is not a show about Game of Thrones. This is a show about video games.
Yes, it is. And before we even get about video talk, there is something I do want to bring up. So,
okay.
Today was a very interesting day. So, full disclosure, I made content, I've done content creation for a while with Rocket Punch, and every once in a while, I go out in public and someone may notice me, and it's totally it's a big deal, but not a big deal, because especially here in Huntsville, Alabama, with population of sub 1 million at some point, you're thinking, that's cool, but to be recognized out, at least lets me know and helps me, hey, I'm actually, I'm doing something right. If somebody sees my face and says, hey, I know who you are, and it's happened a couple of times, but today was one of those times. So I was in Walmart down the road, like 50, 20 minutes from my house, and I was in a rush. Like my mindset was like, I need to find a scale. I need a new scale for the house. Looking all over the place for one. I looked all down the home and garden section, or the home section, whatever. Start heading towards the games, and because behind the games there are the bathroom tools and stuff. But I digress. Go through there, and I see this older woman pass me, and then another younger guy is following her. I look like mom and son. I don't want to assume, but passing through, and so I walk by him, and all of a sudden I hear, "Love the podcast." And like instinctually, you know, you have that instinctual like, oh, thank you, and then keep going, because I was like, I need this scale, because like I got to go eat in here a little bit. I got to get the scale, but I said thank you and kept going, and then I'm like, wait, what? And then I doubled back and looked over, and they were already walking off, and that was awesome. It was awesome and cool to see that for some reason somebody recognized me. And recognize the podcast. But more importantly is that they're a listener here on the Rocket Punch show, and listening and kind of consuming our content. So I wanted to give a special shout out to that person. If you're listening, you know who you are. Curly hair and glasses. But thank you so much for noticing me. I wish if I had more time, or maybe you had more time, I would have just pulled you over to the side and like just started talking to you for a little bit. But unfortunately, I didn't get to do that. I was on a mission in that Walmart. But I wanted to give them a special shout out and say thank you guys for listening to the show and supporting it. And hopefully you will continue to love the podcast for many, many, many years to come.
It's very wholesome. It's very wholesome.
It was awesome. It was just a very surreal and awesome experience. Even regardless of how small it is. And if I get a chance, if you out there and you recognize me for some reason while I'm out doing stuff, come up and talk to me. I may be on the defensive at first, but as long as you say, hey, you're Cameron from Rocket Punch, that will help me know, okay, you know who I am through that means, not like I'm going to come beat you up because I did something wrong to you.
Now, question for you. What if a fan comes up and says, oh my God, I love your podcast. I want to wear your skin like a suit. What do you do then? Because you've got the positive on one end. You've got the, oh shit, this person's going to kill me on the other hand. What do you do there?
I'm going to say thank you very much as I continuously step back and then do one of those Peter Griffin runbacks where you just kind of one step, two step, balls, like run as fast as you can. Look, I may be a big guy right now, but like if you put enough fear in me, I'll get the hell out of there real fast.
That's when, see, my would be like turn the emblem on my chest and then have the skyhook thing come out of my back like from the Dark Knight. So the airplane just flies over and just takes me away. But I like yours too.
That one's pretty good.
Yeah.
But guys, enough banter at the beginning of the show. Let's get started here. We're going to get started. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about Xbox, the showcase and the predictions, what we have for that. We're going to talk about Andy McNamara leaving GameInformer. We're going to talk a whole lot of Xbox here tonight, Destiny, and Nintendo, and a whole lot more, because if you didn't know, this is the Rocket Punch Show. Each and every week, or the Rocket Punch Show, your southern source for all things gaming, geek, and more. Each and every week you can listen to us live as we record the show here on twitch.tv/RocketPunchLive every evening at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on twitch.tv/RocketPunchLive. If you can't join us live, be a part of the conversations, you can always listen to us each Tuesday on your podcast service of choice. That way you'll still be able to get your episodes in. Remember, guys, if you want to know more about Rocket Punch and the content I make here, head over to rocketpunchgo.com. That is your one-stop shop for all the videos, streams, podcasts, and more right there at your fingertips. If you want to be a part of the Rocket Punch family, we'd hope you want to, please head over to our Discord channel. There you can join in on the Rocket Punch family, check out all the new stuff that we're doing to our Discord, and get part of giveaways and all sorts of crazy stuff. It's going to be right there. It's going to have a lot of fun. So join our Discord. It is in Twitch chat for our Twitch viewers, and it is also in the show notes for everybody listening on podcast services. If you want to support us, there are a lot of different ways you can do that. You can review us, follow our content, and share us on social media. On your social site of choice, we are on Twitter at Rocket Punch Go, Instagram at Rocket Punch Go, and Facebook at Rocket Punch Network. So definitely check us out there. Share your content, spread the word about what we're doing here at Rocket Punch. And if you want to be extra special and help support the show, consider being a Twitch Prime subscriber here on Twitch. Get access to some cool emotes. Or become a patron over at patreon.com/rocketpunch. You'll be able to get all sorts of exclusive goodies there as well. And for all of our Twitch and Patreon subscribers, if you are joining us here live as we record the show, don't go anywhere once the show is over. We'll have exclusive post-show with myself, Will, and all of our subscribers kind of chatting it up and having a grand old time here on Twitch. And if you're a Patreon member, don't worry, you get the audio version of that every week. So, just hang tight. You'll get to it later on this week there. As we like to do each episode, we want to give a special shout out to our producers here, people supporting us on patreon.com/rocketpunch at our highest tier. So a special thank you to Jossie M, Sam S, Jeremy M, Stephen S, and Adam C. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. Other than that, upcoming announcements and stuff that we have, just the updates to Rocket Punch, because I was out of town last week, kind of slowed down on me getting all the updates rolled through. But we're going to finish all those this week. So all the podcasts, the new flow, the updates to Twitch, updates to Discord, all that stuff's going to be rolling out, guys. So if you're really excited about that, still be excited about it. It'll be coming this week for you guys. There. Is that it? I think that's all. I've got that down to like a science now. I'm pretty good with it. So let's get started with the news here, guys. If you don't know news here, we like to take the top 5 news items we have each and every week and discuss them. Since we are a week removed, some of this may be a little bit old, but we haven't talked about it yet, so we're going to talk about it right now. So, number 1, Seth, do you know this little small name named Andy McNamara? This small guy, might have heard of him in games journalism or something like that. Have you heard of this guy?
Yes, Andy McNamara, I listened to an interview with him, and he said he feels a little weird being called a legend of game industry. Many would probably say that he was a forefather of games journalism in the print days. But yeah,
well,
former editor-in-chief.
It is the
GameInformer.
Changing of an era, because first up on the list here, Andy McNamara leaves GameInformer after 29 years. Getting a lot of this information here from Brendan Sinclair over at GameIndustry.biz. But more or less, after 29 years, Andy McNamara has announced that he's leaving GameInformer. He was the editor-in-chief over there, if I'm not mistaken. Been there since the first issue of the magazine ran back in 1991, if you can believe that. But he's leaving. He said that he's going to announce where he's going next. It's still gaming related. If I'm not mistaken, Seth, you'll have to correct me on this, but it was he's going to EA. He's like some big name strategist over at EA, which is pretty cool. The director of marketing communications, something along those lines. Yeah, it's very important from the way he described it there.
VP level, like very high up, executive level.
But he is over there now. Seth, what does this mean to you?
It really bummed me out to hear that GameInformer was losing the editor-in-chief. I've been a long-time fan of GameInformer. I've been very, very saddened to see kind of what's happened over the past year, as they had layoffs and departures, and now losing the editor-in-chief, I'm sure, is a huge blow, especially 29 years. That is an insane tenure. There are few companies that have even been around for 29 years. So
that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah, it's really, I think, a sign of where we are going. GameInformer, I still think, is very relevant. Their website and articles are always really impressive. Their magazine is very impressive. But I can totally understand doing something for 29 years that's a long haul, and totally understand wanting to move on past that, especially when you're in a situation where you were essentially forced to let some of your best friends go. Really. And, of course, a lot of those folks went on and made MinMax, which is a fantastic Patreon. They kind of did with former what the Easy Allies did with game trailers, they kind of took the crew and went and made a Patreon. So I appreciate that I will consume that content, that same type of content, but it's definitely different. Like GameInformer has a level of access and a level of prestige that you don't get with a lot of podcasts and whatnot. So it was unfortunate to see something like this happen, but I don't know, if I was forced to lay off all my friends, I'd probably be ready to leave too. It doesn't feel great to be in a situation like that. And say what you will about parent companies and whatnot, but after that, you kind of just need to move on and focus on something new.
Yeah, and I agree that bravo to him for being at that role for as long as he has. If I'm not mistaken, it's like one of the longest tenures for a video game journalist in the industry since this hobby's period, since its inception. And so kind of seeing, I remember, when Game Informer, I think it's fair to say, back in its heyday, when it was really big before, social media and the digital age that we're living in now, like Game Informer was one of the few ways that we all could get our games news. Game Informer, EGM, official OPM, official PlayStation magazine, official Xbox magazine, Nintendo Power. There's so many different magazine outlets there, and to see someone who was there at the beginning kind of take the hat off, lay it down, and head over. Bravo to him for reaching out and going to new ventures and whatnot. But it's definitely going to be a big hole to fill in games journalism, I think, moving forward. It's a little sad to see, but I think we wish all the best to Andy on his future endeavors over with EA. So thank you very much for all the good times. Next up, I'm going to be honest. I'll leave this in the topic of the show later. We'll talk about that. But you're the Xbox dude. I'm going to let you take over probably the next two. So what's going on with the second story we got?
Yeah. So the second story it comes to us from a letter that was kind of outlined from Phil Spencer. I think most of these stories kind of, let me focus on this one. So earlier this week, Phil kind of did another one of those open letters that they posted on the Xbox Wire. And one of the things that was announced through this is that the so mentioned xCloud, which we still need a name for this, but anyways, as we know it, xCloud is going to be a bundle package with Game Pass Ultimate. So this was something that was speculated for a while. I know that it was brought up in a couple of interviews back when they first announced Game Pass Ultimate, and kind of the early days of xCloud discussion was happening, and people were like, would that make sense? So I think that now Microsoft has pretty much confirmed, if you are subscribed to Game Pass when xCloud comes out in September, you will have that service included free of charge. Well, I say free of charge, including the subscription price of that, which I personally think is a huge move. It is I was expecting it to be a separate purchase, or at least to have some kind of price bump to get it, $5 a month or something like that. But the fact that it is included at that price with no extra cost, it just really shows Microsoft's double down commitment to Game Pass, double down commitment to the idea of playing games wherever, whenever, however you want. And it's really exciting. Where are you feeling on this? What is your how do you interpret this from a fan perspective? What do you think Microsoft's play is here?
I mean, well, it's obviously trash because Microsoft doesn't know what they're doing over there. Kidding, 100%. No, this is great news, and I know a lot of people have speculated and kind of suggested that this should be the way that Microsoft leans with xCloud. So it is glad to see that. One of my first things after thinking about this for a minute, and it may sound critical, but I want people to know it's not. I'm looking. I've done this content creation thing and podcasting long enough to start looking in between the lines. The letter, there's this huge letter, and most of it is generally the same stuff we've talked about. That's been talked about before. The main kind of theme of it was just like, we're doing stuff for the gamer. We are being very much in the mindset of giving value to the gamer and the consumer. And, talk about smart delivery, which we've talked about before. We talked about, you're going to play the best version of Xbox Series X, which we talked about before. And there's a small part at the bottom that talked about xCloud coming to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. Keywords I picked up there. It's coming to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. First question I have is, what does that mean for people who don't have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate? If you're just the general person that has Xbox Game Pass for the lower price of $4.99, is this something that they're going to get? Or is this going to be an added incentive saying, hey, if you step up to Ultimate, not only you're going to be able to play on your PC, not only are you going to be able to get Xbox Gold, but you're also going to get xCloud. I'm curious about that because I'm sure if no one's asked that question before, they're going to. What do you thought? What do you think?
All right, so Cameron, know that when you've got me on the show, and you've got me full time now, so it's no longer just every now and again you get little nuggets of it. Now you've got the hype lord himself, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for about 3 hours a week, about my insane plans for Xbox and how they can really push the brand forward. So let me explain to you a couple of things that that fall in place, and you'll see it. Yes. So I tweeted earlier this week. This wasn't quite big enough to be covered in news, but on the same day they announced this, Microsoft removed the ability to purchase a year of Xbox Live Gold from the website. So you can no longer go to the website and pay $60 to get a year of Xbox Live Gold. You can only get it in 1 or 3 month increments. Here, all right, pull out your tinfoil, put on the hat. We're going in. My fear is that, and this is not part of the predictions that we're doing for the Xbox thing. This is my crazy prediction for services. But
okay,
I have a theory. Xbox Live Gold is about to be completely removed from the equation. If you look at what Microsoft's been doing with their push into PC gaming, to availability of Steam, I'm going to use Sea of Thieves as an example. Sea of Thieves is still a top chart game on Steam and consistently top rated. And it's one of those games that when it first came out was kind of didn't review very well, but it's another like games as a service, like snowballing over time. Now it is this massive game filled with content. So all those players that bought it on Steam, they've been it without having to pay for Xbox Live Gold, right? All the people that play it on the Xbox app on PC play it without Gold.
Okay. Console
has always been only one of those services you pay for Xbox Live Gold in order to play with friends online, and it's very long. Like, it's the more that Microsoft invests into PC gaming, the more like they're scratching their head, like, why are we still doing this? Like, why am I still being charged $10 a month to play on the thing that I've already bought from Microsoft? So bringing this back around, I think that if you remove Xbox Live Gold from Game Pass Ultimate, you now have this bundle that is basically 2 Game Passes bundled together, right?
Okay.
And while there's a lot of people that will find value in that, the fact that Gold is no longer required, it increased likelihood that people may just downgrade to one of the normal Game Pass. Like, I would say right now, console Game Pass is a lot stronger than PC Game Pass, just because they've been getting like Dead Redemption 2, like really big name games have been coming to console Game Pass, where I say PC Game Pass is trying to catch up, but not quite there yet. You're not getting those like banger games, right?
Okay.
So to prevent that, I think you need to swap out the Xbox Live Gold value with something else, and I think xCloud is that. Because I've always said this, xCloud isn't necessarily about bringing in new gamers. Like, yes, in theory, you could take that weird Stadia approach of, well, I don't own an Xbox, but I'm going to pay $15 a month to get this streaming service that lets me play Xbox games.
Okay.
I don't think that's going to be a huge push at first for xCloud. I think that xCloud is going to be about gamers like you and me saying, okay, I want to play some Sea of Thieves, but I'm in bed, or I'm hanging out somewhere else, or I'm out and about, and that gives me an option to boot it up, and it's a replacement for my Xbox. It's basically allowing me to engage my Xbox when I'm not at the Xbox. Makes sense?
I appreciate the fact that your example is I want to play Sea of Thieves, but I'm in bed. That is a quintessential gamer right there. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm too tired to get out of bed. Just give me my phone and let me play this game.
Exactly. And like I could see like propping my iPad up, especially if the TV is taken right now, then I could prop my iPad up, I could play a little bit, and I think that is really, like, to me, Xbox has a really big tech point coming up in 2021 and 2022, because all these people who loaded up on 3 years of Game Pass with that $1 deal, the conversion they did, they basically have that 2 to 3 years to buy those gamers in, right? Like, you want them to stay subscribed after that generosity period, right? And so adding xCloud in is going to be a really strong value addition that's going to keep gamers subscribed after the fact, because we get used to that. It's kind of like, remember when you didn't own a smartphone? You're like, I don't really need a smartphone, but then you get one and you can't live without it, right? So imagine getting access to your games library wherever you are. You have that for a year and a half, and then all of a sudden the idea of it going away kind of sucks, and so it incentivizes you to stay subscribed, especially Microsoft continues to add fantastic first-party titles that we're hopefully going to hear about this Thursday onto the service. So that's kind of where I think the TLDR here is, I think Xbox Live is Gold is going away. I think they're going to try and basically make multiplayer free, and then using xCloud to kind of replace that in the Ultimate package to make sure that Ultimate is the ultimate experience for Xbox gamers, right? People should feel like they're getting a lot of value for $15 a month. And I think that xCloud, coupled with PC and Game Pass, I think that's a good bundle.
Okay. Rurutu in Twitch chat says no more value bundle, which it's like you put xCloud in that mix, and like honestly, we've already talked about the fact that if you're in the Xbox ecosystem, Game Pass Ultimate is the one and only way you should ever go. Like you're getting Game Pass for Xbox and PC. You're also getting Xbox Live Gold. That literally you're going to pay for that stuff anyway. So why don't you do it for one simple small price? So
yeah.
No, it was just that was my one very interesting thing. I'm curious if they're going to do anything. Like I'm curious what their action is, and if they do actually just completely get rid of Xbox Live Gold. Which I think that would be a very big move, and put competitors in looks at Sony like in a very particular situation on if they have a similar plan to combat that. So.
Yeah, there's an interview that Phil did earlier this year where they about the original idea behind announcing the Series X. This beautiful big boxy boy behind me here. They decided to announce that at the Game Awards, right? That was very non-traditional. Most people like to have their own press event and bring people in. And so one of the things Phil said in that interview is he said, we considered that a very bold move. And that's by no means, he's like, by a shot, that is our furthest from our boldest move this year that we have planned. And so that tells me that he has very big, giant strategies, like back compat level, earth-shattering announcements that he's going to make, and one of those feasibly I think would be abolishing the char play multiplayer games on your platform. That looks really good moving into next generation, where people are looking at games, and honestly, like games like Fortnite, they've already removed that option, right? Like they made it where you can play Fortnite online with your friends without having to pay for those extra subscriptions, because they knew if they didn't, they just pull out their phones and play them, right? Like, it just doesn't make sense to keep requiring these subscriptions for a service that, quite honestly, you can just boot up another device and get it for free. So why do that? So that's why I think they are doing this, to basically make sure that people continue to find value in that Game Pass Ultimate sub.
Okay. Well, we'll see. Hopefully, we don't have to wait too long to find out. Although I doubt it may be discussed in more detail Thursday, but hopefully in the next month or so we'll have some more answers there. Again, you still have the floor, sir. What is the third story we're talking about here?
All right. This one is, I want you to imagine that scene from V for Vendetta after the late night talk show host bad mouths the dictator, right? The secret the secret police come in and like put the black bag over his head and like drag him off. That's basically what happened to the Xbox One X over the week. Xbox One X has been completely removed and discontinued. At least I would say, you're looking at right now is July, September, October, November, 3 months prior to the launch of a new console. And so they've basically said it's discontinued. They're no longer shipping them out to that doesn't necessarily mean they're all getting pulled from shelves. It just means that once a retailer sells through their stock, they're going to
they're not being pulled from shelves. Let's be clear on that. It's just they are no longer manufacturing Xbox One X systems or the Xbox One S digital edition. Either of those two systems are manufacturing has stopped on those. They did clarify and say, though, that the Xbox One S, the original redesign, that will still be manufactured. I'm going to tell you, Seth, this was like, as you gave in your description, the black bag scenario, this was quietly revealed after the big xCloud is coming to Xbox Game Pass ordeal, so I think it kind of flew under the radar a little bit. But this sucks, especially for people who maybe were trying to wait for new consoles and kind of or maybe not getting the Series X, but wanted the Xbox One X. But maybe like incentivizes them like, ooh, I got to get this console now before supply gets scarce. But on the flip side of this, does this not almost guarantee that we're getting a Lockhart console? It almost guarantees Lockhart.
Yes. Lockhart is coming. It is going to happen. It is a matter of if, but when. And this is a very obvious first attempt to go ahead and start to clear the messaging around it, because you really don't want to use a second next-gen SKU and have two current-gen SKUs, especially. There's already confusion between Xbox One X and Series X. So, to quote Harry Potter prophecy here, one cannot live while the other survives. They have to cut that one off. Now, keeping the One S around, that is a value add. You see this every single time a console transitions out. They did it with the 360. If you remember the 360e, they kind of re-released the 360 in a smaller, lighter.
I remember that. Mm-hmm.
And the goal with that is to keep the price as low as possible. So I suspect that the One S is going to be one of those gets dropped to $149 and they price $99. I could see that.
Yeah,
off the shelf on Black Friday.
They want to be bold. $99 for the One S
for a play Halo Infinite.
Yes, that would be a steal and a mind-blowing thing to happen like that. You put that at $99. You put the Lockhart system, whatever it is, at $299, and then you put the Xbox Series X at $499. Boom, boom, boom. I think it would cover every gamut of your consumer base and give a lot of people options. As long as you don't come out and say, "Hey, if you want to play the latest games, we've got a great new system for you. It's the Xbox." You remember that?
We're not doing that. I think the days of those mistakes are behind us. The leadership we have from both Microsoft and Sony they're smarter than that, right? I don't think we're going to get anything quite like that, but I think this is a bit of a little branch here. But when you do finally announce Lockhart, they have got to be crystal clear on expectations for what this thing can do and what it cannot do, and also reassure everyone that the existence of a lesser powerful machine than the Series X does not mean that the games themselves will be limited by that. Because I know that's a big discussion that's coming up a lot. Is Lash holding things back, that kind of thing. I think that Lockhart has to be something that is on par with everything except resolution. Right, the resolution would be 1080p, and I think the box would probably look something very similar to the One X. I don't think it's going to be that big monolith thing. I think it's going to look like more traditional console because they're targeting a different market with that, right? They're targeting someone who's wanting to replace maybe a One S that they have. They just want to get the most affordable next option that they can get, whereas the enthusiast, the high-end gamer, is going to go for that. The monolith, the tower, the bridge itself.
If you walk into somebody's house and you see the monolith, that'll instantly tell you They've got the best of the best of the best, sir.
Yeah.
And definitely going to get you excited to play. But like, I definitely could see like Xbox One S is your 1080p machine. Lockhart is your 1440p machine. Series X is your 4K machine. Like you cover every little gamut there in at respectable cost points. I think it's a great win and a great strategy that Xbox is doing there. If that's true,
Definitely.
We don't know yet, but we'll find out soon.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of hardware and services chatter that's going to be coming up in August from both Sony and Microsoft. We've got to talk price at some point, and price is not something that...
Say that again? Oh, no, we lost Seth. Did we lose Seth? No one can hear you. This is funny. So now we're talking. It's me. It's just me, but... Seth cannot be heard. We've lost him on the microphone. We're gonna take this time. Hold on, let me switch over here. Give me a second, guys. Everyone watching the stream, I'm gonna be right back. Go do a quick BRB, and we're gonna see if we can fix the audio issues here. Be right back. Okay, hopefully I got him back. There we go. We're back. Continue with your discussion.
That is okay. That is okay. You know, sometimes I just get so into it that the internet is like, dude, we got to... The producer in the background, he's just like, cut him off. No, so what I was talking about is I think in August we're going to hear a lot from Sony and Microsoft about service updates, some hardware updates, and pricing details about this stuff. And people feel a lot better when they hear price coupled with some other good news, right? And so I think Sony needs to talk a little bit about moving forward, you know, with PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now. People have a lot of questions about that. Microsoft, on the other hand, right now is kind of doubling down. We want people to be buying the One S and getting Game Pass with it. That is goal number one. Like, we want people to buy the games if they want to go to Steam and buy it. If they want to go to the store and buy it, they can. But the goal is to build value in that service so that people are subscribing to that day one and staying subscribed.
Yeah. I mean, like, everybody remember, you cannot pre-order the box until the price is announced. Period.
Yeah.
So.
And the price will... I don't know how it's going down. It's insane. Like... What a year, dude. Like, it's insane, and we've got this Mexican standoff where everybody's just, you know, hands on their guns.
If you've watched the Office, the particular episode, and it's a meme too, with Michael Scott and the other guys, and they're in the room and they've got like the guns up and they're looking at each other like, who's gonna yeah, that's basically what we're at right now. So no, we'll definitely see. Again, the showcase this Thursday is more focused on games, so we're not going to hear a lot of hardware and services talk. But hopefully in August, I think they cannot go past August. August, they've got to lay on all the cards on the table, start getting this stuff announced. They say that you have to give people time. You can't spring like we cannot. If we make the assumption that this console is going to get launched around the November timeframe, which they're going to have these consoles launched before Black Friday, I promise you that. They have got to give people have to have time in order to save up for whatever console they're going to get. That's my thought process.
This is going to go down a much longer discussion, but I want to put a bug in your ear. It's basically that one statement that's just going to shake your beliefs and your foundational beliefs that gamers hold true. The most successful mobile phone in the world, the iPhone, has been released since its inception with a price and date Basically, it has been announced with a price a week before the pre-order is available, and then traditionally it is available within a month after. So in theory, it sells just fine. The iPhone has no trouble selling itself, right? Like it does just fine with that little bit of time. You could, in theory, announce the price at a September event, allow pre-orders to open up for, a week or maybe that same day. And then people have a month. I think a month would be the minimum amount of time you would have it available to be pre-orderable. I think you'd be surprised, Cameron, the number of people that are going to pre-order this. You think you need 3 months to do it, but the way that the world works, stuff sells out in minutes, not days. And so
True.
If you publish that, I think they're going to get, I think this is a war of attrition, and it could timber till we hear prices on these, but
that'd be crazy.
That's a different combo.
You're not wrong.
Different
You're
combo.
Not wrong. All right, fourth story on the list here. It's a pretty general one here, but it's something that we haven't talked about, at least since Seth has been on here in a while, and it's always good to hear his opinions on this particular game. So you remember that game, Destiny 2, and Beyond Light, cool expansion that's coming out here. Well, surprise, surprise, game is getting delayed. This is coming from the official Bungie.net blog here. I'll actually read this verbatim because it's not too hard to read. We have made the decision to move the release of Destiny 2 Beyond Light to November 10th. As the first chapter in a new trilogy of expansions, Beyond Light is the beginning of a new era for Destiny 2. We have a powerful story to tell and incredible new features that we're really excited for players to experience. As always, our goal is to make the coolest, most entertaining expansion we can possibly make for our fans. To that end, we are doing what's best for the game and moving the launch date. The past few months have been a challenge and will continue to be during this pandemic. We've learned to create together in a new way by having to work apart from one another. Despite these hurdles, we're still committed to the same level of quality that our fans expect. Over the coming weeks, we'll be unveiling more of what we're working with for Beyond Light and what was also meant for Season of Arrivals, which will now extend to November 10th. Beyond Light sets the stage for an incredible future in Destiny 2, and though it's coming later than we originally anticipated, we're excited to continue that journey with you this November. Seth, when is the last time you even played Destiny 2?
I actually picked it up about 3 months ago and played for a little bit. It was actually when the new season started, so I think it was about a month or two ago. And it's Destiny, man. Like, it's that game. I think that after they moved away from the yearly, or I guess the like two sub expansions on top of the big per year, they moved to that seasonal format. That was when I really got into it again. I think that was was it with Forsaken? Yeah, Destiny Forsaken. That was when they kind of shifted to that.
Yes.
And I was there for like 2 seasons after that. What issue that I continue to have with Destiny is that I just want PvP removed from that game, but they'll never do it because that's the audience that keeps coming back. I think Destiny is not a fun PvP game to play, and I think that too much of their seasonal content still leans on that. But there is no company I root for more than Bungie. I want them to succeed. This delay makes perfect sense. This will not be the first nor the last delay that is COVID related. I expect we'll see delays all through next year related to this. We just don't know about them yet, right?
Yeah.
So the thing that makes me hopeful about this is going to be right at that console launch. So this would be, I think there will be a wave of new players looking for things to play, right? They'll be hungry for things to play.
True.
And it makes a lot of sense to have Destiny available. A lot of people may jump back in. I know Destiny gets a huge up peak whenever they come out with a new big expansion. People want to see what's new and what's changed.
Well,
and
also,
I think that
the fact that it's free to play now. So definitely come with a new
play,
console.
you can
jump in anytime. That'll be really interesting to see.
Yeah. They when they announced this, there were a lot of other sub announcements that came along with it. Specifically, next year they're hoping to add in play, and I think that's when I'll probably give it a good look again. Like, they have the cross save right now, but it's still too hard to get on my same console, especially since I like to play PC and so many players play that on console. I don't mind playing with a controller on PC to, get in the same matchmaking queues. But at the end of the day, if it was a PvE only game, people wouldn't care. Like, when you introduce PvP, you get this matchmaking shenanigans, and it just doesn't appeal to me, and I just want to see more story content. I want to see more interesting shit, and I don't want so much of it being locked behind 6 people raids and, PvP that I just really don't care about. But I hope that they can do well. I really want Bungie to succeed on their own. Right? Extremely talented studio, and I want them, now that they are cleansed of any obligation to a higher power, I want them to flourish and succeed and show that, hey, Destiny is a game worth investing in. It is a game that's worth your time. So we'll see.
We'll definitely see. I'm interested. Usually big expansions is when I kind of check back again as well, and I definitely want to see what the new stuff's going to be for Destiny 2. Fifth and finally in our news segment here, heard you like Legos, dog. So we've got the perfect match for you. Lego Nintendo Entertainment System. It's real.
Yes.
It works. And because Polygon is so awesome, for people watching on Twitch and on video, I'm just going to play the video for you.
Hi, I'm Lego lead designer Jonathan Benning. 2020 marks the 35th anniversary of the original Nintendo Entertainment System, and we're feeling a little nostalgic, which is why we're excited to unveil the new
Lego
so
cool!
NES. This incredible brick build set includes the iconic NES control deck and a retro-style TV that revolutionizes classic 8-bit graphics. Everything will instantly feel familiar to NES
I feel like I would put that in, and people would really think that it's a
NES. Your favorite game cartridge.
It's really cool.
Without building, jump into the action on a level of the original Super Mario Bros. Speaking of Mario,
right there,
this guy really cool. Always has a trick up his sleeve, and Lego Mario from the Lego Super Mario Start.
That's enough from him. We're done. We've got what we needed. So, a Super NES or an NES system that is Lego formatted. Seth, you talked at the top of the show that you're a big Lego fan. How quickly are you going to buy this when it comes out August 1st?
The thing about being a Lego fan is, just like any hobby, it is expensive. And Legos are one of those that, while they retain their value amazingly, especially the Millennium Falcon, the price of this is a bit of a turnoff for me. There's a PPP is a phrase in the meta Lego community, the price per piece. It's kind of like, in the Lego community, price per piece is probably along the same lines of like game length for value in video games, right? Like people want long games. Okay, some people want long game, and that's what they consider to be valuable. Like, oh, I play, Assassin's Creed for 120 hours, so that game's more valuable to me than us at, maybe only 25 or 30 hours, right?
Okay.
Critically, not correct, but value is by the beholder, right? So I expect this to be a pretty high price per piece, meaning that it's going to be a pretty quick build.
Was it? It's
considering high price, $229, I believe.
$229. It is 2,646 pieces.
Okay, that's actually way more than I expected it to be. So, no, it's pretty dope. I can't commit to making that investment. Once you get over $200, it gets
a little priced.
Like it's a lot. But I will say that this is one of the coolest sets that they have made in quite some time. I actually just finally got the in-stock notification on the Hogwarts Castle that I've been eyeballing. Been out for 2 years, but I'm getting that one. That one was $400, but it is huge, right? Like it takes up this whole table. And so for me, I guess that's where I find value. I want it to be huge. Like I much prefer ships and places, right? To like cars. A lot of people like cars and stuff. I think this is really awesome. I will probably put this on like a gift list, and maybe hope that one of my distant relatives, wealthy, may be willing to get that as a gift or something for me. But if it's possible for me to purchase that, I will insta buy that. That is one of the coolest looking ones ever.
The sucky thing about this is, why didn't they just make it a real NES? Why didn't we just put the actual parts in there? We put the actual console, the actual cartridge in, play the actual game.
Here's what you do. I've got your solution. Take your NES Mini, pop the case open, pull the ends out, build this bad boy, then just slap the insides into this thing.
Okay.
And
good
boom,
point.
there you go.
There you go. Good point. Okay. I can do that.
Custom casing.
That's cool. That's cool.
It only costs, I don't know how much the NES Classic is going for, probably 150 to 200. So for under $500, you can console that's 30 years old
Yes.
and enjoy it.
Yes, nostalgia. Right in my veins.
No, it's a cool set, and I love this Nintendo crossover. I will say this: where are my Zelda Legos? If I could build Hyrule Castle, just look up the Disney Castle set. That's $399. It is a very expensive collector set. If they made that Hyrule Castle,
we're gonna look at it right now.
I would lose my mind. And like, because the Disney Castle is like obviously like the Disney Castle, but the attention to detail that they put in these sets, really so good. Great. But hey, you got, look at it. Look, imagine that being Hyrule Castle. Imagine it. Just,
that's pretty cool.
So do the Mario stuff. People love Mario. The little jumpy, the little world builder stuff looks great.
Mario's
that
he's in the little version.
you have the little, the courtyard where you talk to Zelda and you see Ganondorf in there. Listen, Lego, call me up, dude. Call me up. Number one list on my dream job would be to help you build Lego sets, and I would help you build the ultimate Hyrule Castle. And you could charge more money than this Disney Castle. I promise you that.
Are you sure about that?
$499. I could target $499 with the same number of pieces in this. We'd have a higher price per piece, but people would get it because it's Hyrule Castle. Okay. I'm done.
Maybe one day we'll see. Maybe one day we'll find out.
I would love more Nintendos.
Well, we're gonna have to wait until COVID is over, apparently, for more Nintendo stuff. But
yeah,
what you can get right now is a whole lot more Xbox stuff, guys. Here, we're now ready for topic of the show here on the Rocket Punch Show, and the topic tonight is all about Xbox. We've talked about it. I'm sure you guys all know, but this week. This upcoming Thursday at, Seth, correct me if I'm wrong, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, we are going to have a little over an hour presentation where Microsoft is finally going to come in with their first-party lineup in this brand-new game showcase, talk about what their first-party studios are cooking, if you smell what they're cooking, and what kind of cool exclusive gaming stuff, strictly gaming, they've got going on. It's definitely a tall order. A lot of people are hyped about this. We're going to get our first look at Halo Infinite gameplay, but also because just the May event was not what a lot of people wanted. It didn't really hit the mark just right, and then Sony's got a lot of steam, at least in the zeitgeist, with their reveal of the console and all the games they have this past month. So Xbox has got a lot to prove. I feel confident they're going to deliver on that. I mean, Halo Infinite is definitely drawing a lot of people in. But what we're going to talk about tonight, guys, is we're going to talk about the showcase, and we're going to give you our Xbox showcase predictions. What we're going to do is, I've got a list here. We've got 5 selections here. We're going to go back and forth on what we think we're going to see this Thursday at the Xbox showcase there. Now, one caveat with this is to be very, very clear up front, because Aaron Greenberg, Phil Spencer, and all those guys have been clear with us. There will be no new hardware announced here. No detailing of hardware, no detailing of software or services. This is purely a games showcase with their first party lineup. So you probably won't hear any predictions from us about like, ooh, how much is the Xbox going to cost? That's not going to be there. With that being said, with that being said, Seth, what is your first prediction?
All right,
you go first.
As a courtesy to all the listeners out there, you have to understand I'm an Xboxologist. Knowledge is power. And so I want to provide you with a list of all studios that Microsoft currently has, just to frame the context for what is possible, right? So I'm pulling this list from the Xbox Games website, so if you want to pull that up and show it, you can, but I'll just read through real quick. So we've got 343 Industries, we've got World's Edge, which is the Age of Empires. Age of Empires studio. The Coalition, Compulsion Games, The Initiative, In Exile, Mojang Studios, Ninja Theory, Obsidian, Playground Games, Turn 10, and Undead Labs. So those 14 encompass the first-party studio lineup, as well as the Xbox Game Studio Plane division, which is where you'll see things like Cuphead and Ori come from, where they publish a game, but they don't necessarily own the development, right?
It's very similar to how, it's basically second-party games. The way, PlayStation kind of probably helped out or made some deal with Death Stranding in some form or fashion. So that being said, since this is games focused, these 4 game studios are going to be the focus of this, right? And ideally, I'd like to see updates from all 14 of them. In particular, I've got a couple of predictions based on things that I would like to. I could go. Listen, Cameron. I could go for the softballs. You could
go for.
You could do that.
I could go for the Perfect Dark remake. I could go for the Halo Infinite. It's going to show game and it's going to be a Destiny clone. I'm not doing that though, because I live big. I live my life the biggest possible. But I'm going to start with something to kind of ease us in here. It is without a doubt going to be shown is the new Fable game. The new Fable game will be shown, and I am predicting that this will not be Fable 4. This will be a complete relaunch of the Fable brand with a brand new gameplay style that I would see more of I don't want to say like Witcher 3, but like follows that style much more. But I think what they're really going to do is double down on the whimsical nature of Fable and make it the game you remember with really intricate, like decision based, like your character changing physical shape based on your good or evil decision making. But I think this game, we're going to describe it as the most British game ever. I think that it is going to be something that's very like comical and whimsical, contrast to so many games that are like The Witcher is a great example, just like dark brooding heroes, dark fantasy worlds that people love. But I think that when you look at Fable, you see something a lot more whimsical and magical. So my prediction here is that Playground Games has been looking at Fable. They are remaking Fable, and it is going to be from the ground up an RPG that is built around character and decisions, not in a press A to do good thing, press B to do the bad thing, but in a way that your physical actions, if you kick the chicken, you're evil. If you help the grandma, you're good. If you help the grandma but steal everything she owns, you're still evil. That's and I think that when you look at next gen games, we talk about this all the time. We're done pushing pixels. We're going to the next K, right? We don't need 6K, we don't need 8K. I want to see the systems in these games get better and better. So when I think about Fable, I think a game where you're doing things like, let's say you steal the old lady's possessions, and then 20 hours from then a bounty hunter shows up and attacks you because you did that, right? That's the kind of evolving gameplay and world building that I see from something like Fable, not necessarily 1,000 dots on an open world map that I need to go and just check off a list. I think other players doing that just fine. I want to see a game where my experience is totally different from yours, and I think they're going to do that with decisions that you make and the consequences of the decisions playing out.
So it Rurutu in chat says Fable MMO with IJM in chat coming back saying, "Ooh, I would love a Fable MMO. Think they could do that?"
That would be an interesting experiment. I think I've recently gotten into the ESO or Elder Scrolls Online, and I think that type of game, that's what I would kind of think of. I'd want to see, like, imagine that, but more animated type approach to it. Like, I know people really like to bash on Fortnite, but I think that Fortnite visually is just a really colorful and fun to look at game. Same goes for Overwatch, right? Like, Overwatch is one of those games that has an art style that's so unique to it that you immediately kind of connect with those characters, right? Mm-hmm. Versus, I'm gonna harp on The Witcher. You know, Witcher has got Geralt, super awesome character design. pretty much a gritty old dude, right? Like that's his character.
He's super old. He's over 100 years old.
Yeah, he's designed to look realistic and gritty. Whereas you look at a character like Tracer, right? Very vibrant features, got those giant Disney eyes, super rambunctious attitude about her. And when I look at something like a Fable MMO, that's what I imagine. I imagine character creator being as first, like I'm thinking like Sea of Thieves, right? Like those Sea of Thieves characters just have those exaggerated proportions, and it still to this day hurts my heart that Sea of Thieves have like a proper character creator where you could go in there and like make those super deformed, fun pirate avatars we've always dreamed of. But I think a Fable MMO would be a great opportunity to do that. The reason I think that an MMO might not be the best approach for that is because I really feel like Fable, and I think Microsoft in general is you're gonna see this in this Thursday present. Microsoft has really been pushed out on games as a service in a way that I think a lot of people are kind of aware of now and are a little bit wary of. So, because it's a dirty word, right? When you hear games as a service, you're thinking Battle Pass, you're thinking microtransactions. But actually, I think that the best example of a games as a service game that Microsoft sees is Steve's, because that is a game that had seasonal events that were, you didn't pay anything for them. It was totally free updates. But like they introduced the Megalodon, right? And now the Megalodon was roaming the waters, and like when that creature was first added, there was a quest line to get him, right? And the community was just buzzing about it now, right? And then they moved on to the next thing where they added like skeleton ships. I could see Fable doing something very similar, but what I don't imagine being is a multiplayer game like you think about Destiny, right? Like Destiny, you go in these cutscenes and it's like you're the only one that can save us, Guardian. It's up to you and the thousands of other yous that are out there, right? Like you kind of feel a little disconnected from it, where the whole point of Fable is you are the hero of your Fable, right? And it would kind of devalue it a little bit to make it an MMO where you're just running around with a bunch of other heroes. However, I do think that having community goals or community events where like, hey, for this weekend, we're going to have right, like raiders are going to invade the villages more frequently, and so you need to log on and help prevent those raids from happening, or join the raids if you want to be evil, right, and jump in a bunch of free loot. So that would be the kind of like games as a service feature, not so much the MMO features, but that's just my thought. I think it's a really interesting idea, and I would see a pitch for it. I just think that when I think about what Fable should be, it should feel like you felt in Mass Effect, where you are the hero. I am Shepard. I am the person who's going to save the day. I'm not one of 40 people who's casting spells at this giant magma man, right? Like, yeah. I just don't. I feel like that's kind of connected from what Fable is, because it is a fairy tale simulator, is what it really is. But that's my first prediction. A little bit of a softball. We pretty much know Fable exists, but wanted to give some really detailed predictions about what I think is going to make that unique versus what's been out there. Oh, it's going to be Fable 4, so it's going to be more of the same, or it's going to be, a remake of the original. Or I think it's going to be something that feels like Fable, but so much bigger than that.
Okay.
Are you recording this? So that
I am. I'm typing all of these predictions in. So when we come back next week on the Rocket Bunch show next week, we're going to tally them up. We're going to see the results here.
Oh, of course. Of course.
So, my first prediction. We'll start with the softball stuff. Oh, actually, Jade in chat says, totally get what you're saying, Seth. Maybe more of a multiplayer option rather than an MMO. Maybe Mass Effect-like.
Can I tell you, I think was it Fable that did the basically the orbs that float around in the world that show you where your friends are, and you can like run up to the orb and like jump into their game. That was a really cool. I think it was Fable 2 or 3 that did that. I can't quite remember.
Don't know that one,
but that was. I think that's a really cool way to see it, where you're like ghosts of other players, and then you can maybe jump in and help them with a quest or something like that. Mm-hmm. That would be interesting. I also think it would be kind of interesting to have that journey like asynchronous multiplayer where you run into other players, but you don't quite realize they're other players. Where they're like a bounty hunter. Remember I was talking about bounty hunter that shows up to hunt you? Maybe that's another player. or even something along the lines of like they do with the drivatars in Forza, where they like create a profile based on how you play and then insert that into other people's games, and so you start to see your friends, meaning like
that's pretty good.
That could work.
Yo, okay, so my first prediction here for the showcase, another softball here. We'll start slow and build up. Hellblade 2 will be at the showcase. It will 100% get a release date.
Okay.
It will be released before June 2021. That is my prediction. I feel it's a little bullish to say that it's going to get released before the end of this year. I don't think, the original Hellblade came back in 2017, and then Microsoft didn't really buy out Ninja Theory until about 2018. But I think, for an indie studio at the time, they put a lot of hard work into the original Hellblade. I think that with Papa Phil's money and his checkbook now, they've got a lot more resources to grow, and really, they've already used the new engine, or at least they've been working with the new Unreal Engine, and I believe that they've already talked about like the Unreal Engine. We'll start seeing games with that come out next year. But some developers won't be able to try it. At least it won't be open until probably summer or the end of next year, which I think will be a perfect time to give Hellblade, give them the showcase, show some more gameplay of that game here, and then give a release date of 2021. And also the other thing too is I really don't think it needs to be this year. My big point of that is that we've got Halo Infinite. And I think Halo Infinite's going to suck up a lot of air when the new console comes out later this fall. And I think that it needs its time to breathe. Like, Hellblade, if you are listening or watching this show, I'm going to get real up close to the mic and real up close to the camera right now.
Audio listeners love that.
They do. It's great. If you have not played Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, stop listening to this podcast right now. Go to Xbox, sign up for Game Pass Ultimate, whether you have a PC or an Xbox. Play this game. It's so good. Make sure you have headphones on. But this was a gem of a game that really got overlooked at the start. But once critics and people really gave it a chance, one of the best games of this generation, in my opinion. And the fact that Microsoft was able to pick up Ninja Theory is just a great addition to their lineup. It makes incredible detailed games, and the fact that they say, hey, do Hellblade 2 is really, really big. And that's why I think putting it early next year, whether in the spring or at least soon before June 2021, really gives it the chance to shine. And also, I think that Hellblade has enough hype on it, especially from it being shown at the Game Awards last year, that it has enough clout that it can be one of those spring games. Like, oh, dude, you're having so much fun in 2020 with Halo Infinite. Well, get excited because February or March or whatever, we're going to give you the new Hellblade. It's going to be a great visceral experience, and you're gonna love every minute of it. But that is my prediction. Is Hellblade 2 is going to get shown. It's going to get a release date. It will be the release date will be before June 2021.
Very specific. I like the specific predictions. Those are always.
You got to get in the weeds, man.
You got to get in there. You got to be bold. You got to be bold. And speaking of new theory, I will move into my second prediction. I believe that Project Mara is going to get a formal title.
Okay.
And I believe that Project Mara is going to be a horror game unlike any horror game we've ever seen before. I think when you look at the promise of what PT was striving for,
remember that game?
That the target for this kind of thing, where you look at what Ninja Theory is really good at and what they've done with it. They have done binaural audio in a way that is unbelievable, right? Like the idea of audio all around you. Imagine that in a horror game, right? Imagine looking at a horror game through the lens of fear, not as an exploitable emotion, but as an actual crippling emotion, right? Something that you feel, basically that you feel when you're a kid and you got to reach your hand into the dark to turn on the light switch, right? I think that that Ninja Theory is the studio that could tap into that and create a horrific experience. Now, is this tied to an IP? Yes, I would love to sit here and be like, well, Microsoft's going to pull out the pocketbook and buy Silent Hill, and they're like, yeah, I could do that. I don't think so. I think that Microsoft, and you're going to notice a couple things here. None of my predictions have to do with Halo. None of my predictions have to do with it, because those two, Halo is Halo, whatever. The Initiative, I think, is working on something entirely new. And I think Microsoft is really trying to figure out what to do for them, right? I don't think they're just going to tap into a bunch of rare IP or tap into a bunch of Xbox original IP and try and remake everything, right? I think Fable is one of those micro examples. I think that you could do, basically I look at Fable, that Fable remake, like you would look at the God of War remake, right? Like, yes, it's technically God of War game, but it is a completely rethought approach to that winks at the original, but is basically its thing. Okay. When I look at what Theory would be working on with Project Mara, I think it gets a name, and I think it is something that we've never seen from a horror game. It's not quite a boogeyman follow you. It's not quite a get out of this scary situation. It is more of a, like, almost like a haunting, like The Grudge, that no matter where you go in this world, it follows you, right? It's not like you're trapped in the mountains with this bad guy, or you're trapped in this crazy hillbilly hut. This is I am in the office with 30 other people around me, and all of a sudden they're all gone. Silent Hill style, I'm by myself and the walls are peeling. Like that's the kind of horror that I see coming from this. Okay. And I do expect that it will have a deep root in some kind of insanity or madness, kind of maybe even Lovecraftian. Like the villain is so abstract, it's beyond comprehension. That's what I imagine Project Mara to be. But that's just my prediction is I think that we're going to get a title and kind of a pitch like I just gave you of like what Project Mara is envisioned to be, because I do think that they announced that avenue early. If you remember, they announced that last year alongside with Blade 2. And I was like, why would you do something early before it even has a name? And I was like, well, you want people to know that these studios you just acquired are working on more than just one project each. And Ninja Theory, in particular, I think, is poised to be the greatest horror game creator ever, probably pushing into that legendary boundary. Like, you think about what Amnesia did, the Amnesia the Descent did for horror games. I think they're going to push things forward like that in another way. Even look at like 7 and Village. Those kinds of games pull inspiration from Amnesia the Dark Descent. I think that Ninja Theory is about to set that next step forward for what it looks like in next gen.
Okay. Good prediction. I like it. My next prediction, I'll go with another easier one here. This is super easy. This might have been the softball. I'll do an easy one here. I love Naruto in chat. I love his prediction. Microsoft's going to come out and announce Dr. Disrespect the game. Brilliant. Not going to happen, but I like where your head's at. All
right, I've got can I pitch it real quick, Cameron?
Go ahead.
All right. You play as streamers, but it's a wrestling game. I'm telling you, man, streaming ends when it just becomes the WWE, where everyone has a character that they play, and so you play as Dr. Disrespect, and you are in some esports tournament with other crazy ass like personas of people. You know, you think about like Bach, the Undertaker, those kinds of like over the top personalities. I want that in streaming. End rant.
Is it
what the fuck
bad?
Is going on with Dr. Disrespect?
Is it bad that I want this?
Isn't it great? Just honestly, you could just make a wrestling game with esports people, and people love it. Like
people love it.
Like I just imagine grabbing like a Razer Black Widow keyboard and just smashing someone, and all the keys going everywhere. That's what I want.
My prediction is the Coalition will be there. They will be at the event. They will show. There will be some type of teaser for the new Gears. the next Gears.
Really?
Whatever that is, it will not get a date. It will not get a date at all. And my thinking of this, because as I'm looking at these studios, I'm also pulling up like game information so I can get my predictions right. Gears 5 came out in 2019. We got a while before that game comes out. But I think the fact that the Coalition has already shown off Gears 5 on the Xbox Series X, we've seen a little bit of teases and gameplay with that earlier this year, means clearly that they've been working on it. So they've probably got a lot of assets that are prepped and ready for it, which means it's definitely, they're ready to showcase. They've been hard at work on Gear 6, whatever that is. It's not coming out this year, obviously. You can't bump heads with Halo. Could it be a chance that it comes out in 2021? Possibly, but I don't think so. I think the reason it's not going to have a date is I think that it's going to come out in 2022 and be maybe one of the strong fall lineup games that come out. But I think that it's worth showing that as well because this is their... And this isn't going to be something huge. It'll be some quick little tease. Maybe if it's just something to confirm that so you understand that Gear 6 is coming and some like crazy review and you're like, oh my god, I'm so excited. Or even just some like quick little teaser showing what the game's going to look like with the Series X power. But I think that again, Seth, we've had conversations about Xbox and my thinking that they need to get some new IPs. I think that injecting, even with that, Gears, Forza, and Halo are their big franchises, and I think that having them here at the show, even if it's just a tease, even if it's just something small, will go a long way for fans that are really excited and really love the Gears franchise. So I think they're going to be there. We're going to see whatever the next Gears is going to be, a teaser of some type. We're not going to get a release date.
A good prediction.
You're up. Number 3.
All right, number 3. All right, we're getting into the... You're over here still throwing softballs. I got that shit out of the way, dude. We're going into banana zone right now. So, Obsidian.
Who?
Is going to show up. Obsidian.
Okay, Obsidian. Okay.
Is going to show up with Outer Worlds 2. Outer
Worlds
2 is going to be a very ambitious open world RPG that is going to directly tap into... This thing is going to look so close to Fallout New Vegas, it's going to hurt. It is going to be... they're going to take that idea like, hey, we're on this planet, it's really tiny, sandbox area. They're going to blow that out. I'm thinking each planet would probably be the size. I mean, let me be crazy here. I would love this marketing line. Each planet is as big as the world of Fallout New Vegas, and there are 7 planets in the game.
Jesus Christ.
That level of massiveness, right? And I'm not going to spoil the Outer World. I want to play it, but at the end of the Outer Worlds kind of leaves it open to this idea of this is truly like a crazy frontier that we're going to settle together kind of thing. And so I feel like there's a lot of opportunities for working together to kind of build up what each planet is going to look like, right? Like dictating the fate of that settlement on that planet.
Yeah.
And so when I look at what Obsidian did with such limited resources with Outer Worlds, right? I think Outer Worlds is a IP that is strong and it is here to stay. I think that Outer Worlds 2 is going to be that Assassin's Creed 1 to 2, right? Like that's when it really hit its stride. And I think this is going to be Xbox's first big, hey, we've got a big exclusive EG. This is what this is what you can expect from Xbox and our first party acquisitions, right? And that's just going to be such a show of confidence for people to look at and see, oh man, Microsoft didn't just buy Obsidian to, make another games as a service. They are making ambitious AAA open world RPGs using that studio's power. And I just imagine that this would be a game that comes out maybe 2022 would be my guess.
Okay.
Because it is, Outer Worlds, I think was 2018, right? So give them about 4 years to finish it up. think it was 2018.
I think you're right. No, 2019. That came out last year.
Okay, 2019. So definitely a 2022 game then, but at least showing. I expect to see some minor gameplay demos, but these are mainly going to be like just showing you the massiveness of the world. If they do show a demo of this, it would be very microscopic, like one little mission where they do some jumping around. But a lot of innovation that I see here in the way that the world renders itself. Like, obviously it's going to be beautiful, but also in the way that enemy AI works in that game. And just the idea that, like, again, leaning on that action of, hey, what you do in this world defines how this world works. So you land and you can join the bandits, join the coalition or whatever, good guys, whatever.
Yeah.
But one of the things I think that Obsidian does so well is they create these very morally gray situations where you really damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? And you have to make a choice in there. And so when I start to look at like settling the open frontier of the Outer Wilds, right? Sorry, the Outer Worlds. Got them confused again. It's a 2019 mistake right there. When you're settling that frontier of the Outer Worlds, what are the kinds of decisions that you as a leader would have to make, right? Food versus, kicking people versus running out of food, that kind of stuff, right? So I expect to see the predictions. I expect to see the Outer Worlds 2 announced, and I expect it to be bigger than any Obsidian game they've ever made before.
Okay. Good one, man. I keep forgetting about the Outer Worlds.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see if they come out with that. Okay.
It did too well not to make a sequel. It was one of those where it was extremely successful, both as a standalone sale title, but then also as a Game Pass edition.
True. Okay, good point. My next prediction, I'll throw a hard one in here just to kind of keep people on their toes here.
Bring it on.
My next prediction, at this show, there will be 3 new IPs that no one has ever seen before, or at least like in any sort of extended look. There will be 3 new IPs from Microsoft there will be 3 new IPs shown at this event. 2 of them will come out before the end of 2021. That is my prediction.
Very good.
It's I've talked about this before, and I will continue to drill this home. Like, I'm loving everything that Microsoft is doing. The one thing that they've got to do that is a reason why I love Sony, and I love PlayStation, and I love all the different games and experiences they give me out there, give me some new stuff. I love Halo, I love Forza, I love Gears, but I've been playing those for years. They've had, I would probably say like minor tweaks and adjustments to them. I'll definitely say that not making Master Chief playable is not a feature that I would necessarily continue to go with, but I think that it's time to show. Xbox has these 14 new studios, whether old or new or restructured or whatever, under their belt. It is time to show the world what they're capable of and show their real creativity out there, instead of everybody just assuming or saying that, oh, we're just going to get another Halo or another Gears. Like, yeah, you're going to get those because everybody loves them and they sell like hotcakes. But you're also going to get some brand new experiences, maybe some stuff that's going to take risks and take chances, maybe some stuff that's going to take advantage of the power of X with the SSD, with the power of Wakanda Forever, the power of xCloud, or all the hardware that Microsoft has in this little box, whatever that may be. That's going to be shown. We're going to be blown away, or at least come away, at the very minimum, come away very interested, very happy that we've seen some new stuff from them. If I see some new IPs, I'll be honest, if I see just a couple of new IPs from Microsoft in this event on Thursday, I will be happy. Don't have to show me anything else. Show me some new stuff. Give me some new blood. Give me some new reason. I feel like
no. They need to show Infinite.
Oh, show Infinite.
They need to show Halo Infinite.
Definitely show Halo Infinite. But like pick out the list since like 2017 on Sony's side. Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, the reboot, the relaunch, whatever it may be, Marvel Spider-Man, We got Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us Part 2. And some of those are not new IPs. I will definitely admit, but if I take Marvel Spider-Man's new, Horizon Zero Dawn is new, Ghost of Tsushima is new, which I'm going to talk about in the post show. If you stick around, so much, like a couple more I'm sure I'm forgetting, but like those are brand new IPs that are really putting us in these new and different unique worlds, and that is partly because of this. Days Gone, there's one I forgot about. That fucking Days Gone is awesome, and people need to give that game a chance because the updates made it a lot better. But like, I want to see that from Microsoft. You've got the studios, you spent the money, show us what you got. Even if it doesn't have to be something that's released right now, it doesn't have to be something that's coming out in 2021. Get me excited. Give me that, like, dude, I want a Series X because of these games right here. Let me get excited. Let me get hyped up. Rurutu in chat says AA or AAA new IPs. Just new IPs. Doesn't have to be AAA per se. Although the more A's it has, the better it is. So,
how about this? How about giant Phil Spencer head floating in the sky? Show me what you got.
Yeah, show me what you got. Yeah, I love it. Yes, do it. Do it. I want that so bad. But that, like...
Yeah, I think... Sorry, go ahead.
If we get that, I'll be very happy. Very happy.
Yeah, I that prediction in particular is probably the most true in my opinion. Like, I think that Microsoft is really ready to show what Xbox is going to become, not what it has been, right? It has not been great in the past, and we want to a point where we feel like the Xbox is a machine that is outputting high quality art as well as, profitable games, right? We want to make sure that Microsoft has, just like that Donkey video that showed all the PS4 games at once, right? And it's just like Persona, at this point, Last of Us 2, like all those Sony games that people always. Microsoft needs that game spread because Sony's got probably like I'd say 12 mega bangers that they've come out with this generation, right? Like just completely gotta own them.
Maybe not 12, but a lot.
Like, I would probably say 10. All the way back, you got like Bloodborne, even the Order 1886.
If you just want to talk about like exclusive games that Sony has since the PS4 inception, Bloodborne, God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, in my opinion, Days Gone, Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us Part 2, Persona 5, which is an exclusive to the PlayStation systems. Yep. Jesus, I can't. I'd have to sit here and think.
What I'm saying
FF7 is remake. There you go, Rutu.
And what I'm saying here is like Xbox ideally 7 years from now wants to have that same thing, right? When you look back at the Series X, like, oh my God, look at all these amazing games that they came out with. And then you stop and you think to yourself, wait a second, those games aren't going anywhere. I can play them anytime. We're probably also getting up-resed, right? Like we're seeing a lot of Xbox One X games get bumped to Series X specs, right? Like I think you mentioned Gears. They have confirmed that Gears will be getting a smart delivery optimized patch day one. So Gears 5 will be at that native resolution. So that's where Microsoft really wants to get. So rebounding on yours, saying like, hey, I think you're right, and I think that Microsoft is really going to invest in new IP, not just rare remakes. But
I really think when Phil got these studios, one of the conversations he's having with these people is like, make what you want. That's what Sony does with their studios, and I think part of the reason why those studios are so successful, like, make what you want. You tell us, we'll help out, and we'll see if there's some value in it. But if you can pitch it right, do it. Like Phil is definitely the guy that's not going to hold these studios back. Yes, he has a studio, but guess what? They're focused. Like, you guys are going to keep making Gears for us because everybody likes Gears. But even then, we have not only the mainline Gears franchises, but we have Gears Pop, mobile version of the game, and Gears Tactics, which is a very awesome and unique look on the Gears franchise as a whole. And so I think that they're not going to be they're not being held back by like preconceived notions. And so I think Phil's really giving them the chance to do whatever they want, and I think we're going to see that this Thursday.
Yeah. All right. Can I move into my next one?
Number 4. Ooh,
all right.
Let me hiccup first.
So, that's all right. So my next prediction, speaking of Rare, my next prediction is that we are going to see a full reveal of Everwild. I think that Everwild, this is a game that has been announced a while back.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you know.
Yes.
So I have a couple of theories about Everwild. I think that Everwild is going to be a Breath of the Wild for Xbox. It is going to be a game that is massive in its scope and scale for the environment that you're in, but it is going to be a game that is designed around exploration and kind of that minimal HUD, beautiful landscape type of approach. I think that it's going to play very similar to Breath of the Wild in many regards. Stamina bar, climb anywhere, go anywhere kind of thing, maybe underground dungeons. That it is going to be a truly open world action adventure game that is, again, not a bunch of pins on a map, but just like Breath of the Wild was able to do that. Oh, there's a circle of rocks, but one is missing, and there's a rock like 50 feet that way. I wonder if I get that rock and drop it here, what's going to happen? And I can see you rolling some B-roll for it now.
I am.
But this is a game that, right off the bat, gives me those vibes of like, I want to go climb that mountain in the background there. I want to, talk to these or interact with these animals and see, what's happening here. But I feel like this is a game that looks and will play similarly to Breath of the Wild and kind of be that Zelda-like, gonna get an item to enable a new power that's gonna allow me to do something new, and also plays with us in a really cool and interesting way, potentially.
Yeah, definitely, man. And this is a game that it's in the back of my head, but I always forget it because they showed it and announced it, and it looks so great. But we have not heard from this game. When did this game get revealed? I want to say it was 2017 or 18, if I'm right in that. I'll check. I think
it was 2018.
Yeah. Well, we can check after the B-roll's done. But this game looks so cool and so good, and it's totally, totally forget that this game exists. I really want.
It was at XO19.
Okay, so it's only been about a year, a little over a year.
Yeah.
Okay. Man, why does it feel like it's been longer than that? Maybe because I want it so bad.
Because, yeah. My prediction is that game is going to look, smell, taste like Breath of the Wild, and I think that is it's a type of game that appeals to a large audience. Microsoft is really focused. It's surprising if you haven't noticed this. They're very focused on making games that lots of people can play. They're focused on making they're very accessible, right? Mm-hmm. Not just from an accessibility standards of adaptive controller and whatnot, but also games that are not going to turn people off to that experience. Now, don't get me wrong. That doesn't mean they're not going to make super scary games. Look back to my Project Mara prediction. I think that game is going to be terrifying. But I look at a game, for example, like The Last of Us Part 2, right?
Okay.
One of the best stealth games ever made. I almost did not buy that game because of how violent it is. And I am going to be honest with you. There was one night in particular, I don't know if I've shared the story on the podcast. There was one night in particular where I ran to chat with my girlfriend after I'd played that night. And she was like, dude, you look like you've been through the ringer. You look like you've been binging all night, out at a bar or something. I was just completely exhausted. I felt like that infamous time after I played Resident Evil Part 7 in VR for 5 hours. It was the opening, so it's all the most intense sections of chainsaws and getting stalked. And that's where I was like, she was like, you just look so exhausted. And I was like, oh my God, hon, this game is too intense, right? And don't get me wrong, it's a great game, but that game, I would say, is not a fun, relaxing, enjoyable experience.
No.
Breath of the Wild, great, enjoyable, fun, relaxing experience, right? Yes. And I think that Microsoft, when they look at a studio like Rare, they're the folks that you're wanting to make the fun, happy-going game. The biggest criticism that Sea of Thieves has gotten is that it just doesn't have much of a story that shows you progression, right? You're not seeing the world change as you the story. You're just being told the story that they kind of embedded in there after launch. Mm-hmm. Whereas with Everwild, I expect it to be a narrative-driven game, maybe even along the lines of like Horizon Zero Dawn, where you have this open world to explore, but then like you go on a mission and it takes you into a kind of a level, for lack of a better term, that you play through that level, kind of like The Division does, like you go in and like as you approach this landmark that you see, it's like, all right, now you're going to explore this area. But I honestly think it's a little too gamey for what this is. I think this is going to be much more like Breath of the Wild, where you're going to find a hole in the ground that leads you to a dungeon, but it's not going to come up and say the depths or something. It's just going to be like a dungeon that you find, right? Like everyone's not going to be named. It's just going to be an explore and do what you want.
Okay. Very good. Very good. So we got the full reveal of Everwild. It'll be kind of the Breath of the Wild for Xbox sort of thing. That's your number 3. Your number 4. We'll get this done. We actually, funny, we haven't mentioned Halo. I'm going to mention Halo because we know nothing of Halo Infinite. Zero, other than a very awesome trailer that is part of the Rocket Punch show intro at a very particular point. It's super dope. And we gotta talk about that. Harutu says, I want to see Diablo Immortal on the Xbox. Well, you've got a phone, don't you? So you should be able to play it on there.
Savage.
Halo Infinite, we already know it's going to be shown. I'm not going to preface with that. Here's my Halo prediction. Halo Infinite is going to be shown. It's going to be... We're not going to count that one. It's going to utilize... much akin to Ratchet and Clank for the PS5, it is going to utilize the hardware of the Xbox Series X in some unique way. Don't know what it is, but it's going to be some unique way. This will be the longest demo in the showcase. That's an easy softball part of that one. We will be shown some new multiplayer aspect. My hope, wish, fingers crossed, that it is something along the lines of Spartan Ops, if you remember that from Halo 4. Spartan Ops was dope. They should have kept it in the game. They should have kept it at Halo 5, and it really sucks they didn't. But some new multiplayer feature or aspect will be introduced in this game. And this might be my boldest part of this, is that...
Bring it.
Halo Infinite will not be the only Halo thing that's announced at this showcase.
So, that is a bold one indeed.
I don't know.
We're going to Fallout action here. We get Fallout 4 and Fallout Shelter.
I don't know, but here's my thinking is that I had to look it up. Do you remember when Halo 5 came out?
Was it 2014? 2016.
2015. So it'll be 5 years since the last Halo came out. There's one more other point I'm going to add to this. This is like a multi-pronged beast right here.
Yes.
But I really think within the 5 years, number one, they've had plenty. I bet you money that 343 Studios was one of the first people to get their hands on the Xbox Series X.
Oh, yeah.
They are one of the first group to be laid. Phil came in and said, here's what we're going to plan, here's what we're going to do. And I think that they have had plenty of time to really utilize and leverage the software and really take advantage of some of the unique features that an SSD or the GPUs and the ray tracing and stuff is going to take advantage of. But don't know, how that's going to interpret in the game. I don't know. Ratchet and Clank, you had on the PS5, you had like the portals that you could jump to different worlds almost instantaneously, which is really cool. Yeah. But I really think that they've had the hardware long enough that they've got a feature shown off there. I also think that they've been quiet enough that and that studio is big enough. I really believe that they've been working on something else. I don't know what it is, don't know what it could be, but I think that it having, it's like a magic trick. Keep your eyes over here. Pay attention to this, but don't look over here. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. And I really think that everybody's been so excited about Halo Infinite that I think they've got some other Halo thing planned that is going to blow a lot of people away there. My guess fifth addition to that is that, and this is an easy one, but I definitely wanted to add it in, is that the Master Chief Collection for PC, a new game will be announced and added to that the Master Chief Collection on PC.
Oh, you mean like announced to be added? Yeah. Okay.
And it will be added this fall.
I mean, 4 is next up, right? Like that's the last one.
One of the games, I don't know, but I definitely think they're going to talk about the Master Chief Collection and talk about what the next game that's going to be added to it is going to be, and they're going to give us at least, if anything, at the bare minimum, a release window of sometime in the fall of this year.
Cool.
So
let me ask you just a sub question about that. Do you think that Warzone was a good, like, it had those booster packs and the cards that you had to redeem to like get vehicles? Don't think that was a fun mechanic at all, and I think that was symptomatic of the time that game came out, which was that 2015, loot box shenanigans. We didn't have the fall of loot boxes with Battlefront 2 that we had. So, but do you think at its core, this idea of this large scale PvEVP, fighting other people, but also environment, do you think that was a fun and interesting mode, or do you want to look more at the Spartan Ops, very focused, objective-based type of mode?
Spartan Ops is one of my favorite modes that was in Halo 4. It's one of the reasons I really like Halo 4, because it gave you that replayability. You've played through Halo's main campaign. You always play Halo's multiplayer, but that's something that for me, or maybe for some other people that may not jump into multiplayer a lot, really gives you something new to look forward to on a weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly basis. Like when they were rolling out those new missions, I was like, oh dude, I gotta play the new Spartan Ops. Come on, let's go play something. And maybe if they built something like that into the game with like more tangible rewards, since we're very far removed and 2020 is a whole different beast from back in the day, that would be, that's what I would want to see, 100%. It's something more akin to that, to really kind of balance out, hey, you don't, maybe you're not into the competitive PvP scene. You can still play these Spartan Ops that give you something new and interesting to do each week when they release new updates to it.
Very nice.
So help me out.
Prediction.
What that was a big one. What did I say? Halo has special Xbox Series X features.
You think? Your big predictions are going to show a lot of Halo, and there's also a second Halo-related announcement coming.
Okay. Most in show. I'm typing this down, so I got to make sure I get this right. Most in show. Another Halo project will be shown, and then the last one is that Master Chief Collection for PC new game announced for fall 2020. So Halo Infinite will have special Xbox Series X features. We'll have an extended gameplay of the show, and it will be the most in the show. It'll be the longest gameplay segment in the show. Another Halo project will be shown, and Master Chief Collection for PC will have the next game in the series announced, and it will be before the end of fall 2020.
Great prediction. Very good prediction.
That's it. So my number 4. What you got? Oh, hold on.
All right.
Before you go, I want to read Naruto's comment here. He says, I want Halo Covenant. You play as one of the founding kings of that race thousands of years in the past. You have to conquer all other factions and build your empire. That would be cool.
That would be very cool.
That'd be something cool to see. Go ahead with your last and final prediction.
Final prediction. I'm going to reference back to the system that Microsoft owns. It is very important that people understand that the acquisition of Double Fine was one of the wisest decisions that Microsoft has ever made. Double Fine is a studio that continues to produce the highest quality games that you could imagine on the lowest possible budget that you could imagine, right? They have Broken Age. They did all their classic stuff. They're doing Psychonauts 2, right? And I do think Psychonauts 2 is going to show up. However, the marriage of these two items, Double Fine, and Banjo-Kazooie.
Really?
They're going to announce
Whoa.
Banjo-Kazooie 3, developed by Double Fine, with that amazing sense of humor that they have, that beautiful, vibrant, colorful world. Double Fine is the perfect, and I know that Rare is part of their collection, but I think Rare is really looking more toward like those big, open, vast world sandboxes. more so than diving into the past and remaking games that they made in the past. But I think that Banjo-Kazooie 3, made by Double Fine, could be one of the funniest and most enjoyable platformers ever. And this is my Hail Mary. This is my from downtown. I would love to see Double Fine take a stab at Banjo-Kazooie 3. I know it goes against their nature because generally they do pretty unique and new ideas, but I could really see them looking at Banjo-Kazooie being like, man, we created Psychonauts to be this, basically the next generation of this thing. Imagine if we could get that franchise and apply what we learned with Psychonauts into the Banjo world.
Mm-hmm.
That would be earth-shattering announcement.
That's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it works out for him.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say about that. Social Samurai in chat, also welcome Social Samurai. Good seeing you. Says, I need the rare collection on PC like yesterday. Is it on Xbox Game Pass? Yes, it is.
So here's the fun intro part of that. With xCloud, that's not impossible in a very short time span, if you think about it. Because xCloud is rendering those Xbox games and then streaming into whatever device you're on. So in theory, you could sit on your computer and play any of those rare games and no development work that needs to be done because they're already running on Xbox One. And since we've assumed that Xbox Game Pass is going to be an integral part of that...
It's right there. It says it right there. I'm just showing off the post that they did add it. So...
Yeah, so it is on Game Pass. So in theory, if they say every Game Pass game is now in xCloud, you may see that in September. You never know.
Good point. All right. Banjo-Kazooie 3 is announced with Double Fine.
Banjo-Kazooie 3 from Double Fine.
Oh boy. I think my big one was the Halo one. I got to think about what my last and final prediction. This is a small, short, and easy one. Kind of a weird one, but I think it's worth talking about because I really think this is going to happen. This is one of those, oh god, the meme. Why would you say something so controversial yet so brave?
Okay.
The Initiative game will not be shown at the Xbox showcase. Will not be shown. The Initiative won't even show up at the showcase here. Here's my reason why. It's a bold move, I know, simple, but I think that the Initiative was formed in 2019. Am I right in saying that?
And when we say formed, we mean they got like an executive team.
Yes,
they're just now. Dust is just now settling from the executive team moving in, I'm sure.
Now, I know there was a report back in February of like the Initiative showing off the game. It's an unannounced first-party game, them showing it off. But I really think that the studio, it was formed in 2019. They aren't ready to show anything, and I think the Initiative's game is going to be something very big and very special. This is going to be one of those new IP things that I'm really hoping that comes out of there. But whatever the game is, it's going to be something special. It's going to be something awesome that a lot of people are going to be excited about. And I think, just honestly, that the Initiative needs more time on it. And I think I think they've got the nice thing of having 14 studios is, guess what? You don't have to blow your load in one go. You can spread it out to give enjoyment throughout the year. Look, man, this is how we're doing it at Rock Punch.
You're getting into post-show levels of shenanigans right now. So,
but I think there are enough studios, and these other studios have had way more time to work on their projects, that I think that they can give Initiative the break to say, look, just hang tight. You do your thing over here. We'll take it from here. We're gonna see Hellblade, Psychonauts, Halo Infinite, all these other big name titles that a lot of people are excited about, and I think that is going to be why the Initiative will not be at this show at all. You might hear something. You might hear somebody mention something like, "Oh, the initiative's working on their game. It's not ready to show right now, but we'll get back with you later." But it will not be at the showcase. 100%.
Yeah. I know we were talking about this earlier, but since you brought up the initiative, we were talking about like what my vision for what the initiative is, and the phrase I used is, "This is what Microsoft wants to be their Naughty Dog," right? They want this to be the studio that they have that is second to none when it to creating and crafting video game
When you
worlds.
see that logo pop up, you know you're in for a good time.
Yeah, and whether it's the guitar twang or the windpipe that comes in relation to that, there's going to be that feeling of like, man, I'm about to consume something truly breathtaking. There's your Xbox nod, breathtaking there. When you see that, and yeah, I agree with you, and I don't think that they're anywhere near close to showing that. If they show anything, it will be a JPEG logo of what it is, but I don't think they have a name for it yet. I don't know.
Do you have any bonus ones that won't count, but you just want to throw
Oh
out?
man, I've got bonus ones for days. Do you want me to bust in? I mean, we got 14 studios here. I can tell you what they're all working on.
Rattle off.
right,
We'll be fair because we're running short on time here. We want to get to the post show.
Okay.
You pick one bonus one. It's not going to count to anything, but just one fun one that you think will happen.
Okay, one fun. I believe that Mojang Studios is going to show off a new Minecraft-focused game or a major expansion to Minecraft that drastically changes the game. I think that Minecraft is about to get a lot of new features, I guess, for lack of a better term. They're going to add in like a big new update that really changes the game in cool and interesting ways.
Okay. That's a fun one. That's a good one. My fun one.
It's not a strong one, but...
I don't think mine's strong either, but it's... Can't forget about this game, because, like, this is a game I really, really enjoy and actually do need to play more of. Rurutu says a $500 flight simulator chair. That would be hilarious.
Yes.
Undead Labs will announce either State of Decay 3 or... Actually, you know what? I'm going to stick with... I'm not even going to say it's an expansion to State of Decay 2. They're going to announce State of Decay 3.
I would love that.
Like, State of Decay 2 is... Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No,
Full 4-player co-op. No rubber banding. Full 4 co-op. Everyone exists in the same world, and you can all work together. Perpetual fun and engagement. Like, none of that, like, going too far from the host, so you got to come back. None of that.
Yep. But that's my fun one. Like, I think that they've been kind of quiet. They've had some cool updates with Heartlands and stuff. But that game is really good, and I think that it's, again, now that they have the power of the Microsoft coin, they're going to do a lot of great things, and I think it's time. This would be a great addition to the lineup to announce State of Decay 3.
I like the Microsoft coin. That's a good phrase.
A little nod to some earlier phrases that have been coined.
That's it.
Anything else you've got to add?
I see what you did there. No, I mean, I could go for days, but quite honestly, at this point, we just got to wait and see. I mean, this Thursday, you better believe we're going to be talking afterwards. If only we had a show that discusses and breaks down the strategy between the two major console manufacturers as we approach the next generation.
Well, that's good. It's funny you say that, Seth, because we will actually be doing that. So this upcoming Thursday, that evening, we're going to have kind of our full analysis breakdown of the Xbox Game Showcase on Console Wars, our show there that myself and Seth are on. Very similar to the PlayStation one that we did before. And also, if you're able to watch the show earlier, I believe we'll probably have a small watch party in my Discord chat for Rocket Punch, where we'll actually have everybody kind of come in and watch the show together. And then you and myself, or Seth and myself, will have our thoughts and reactions to everything that got announced later that evening once we have time to break everything down and really chew on it a little bit. So it's definitely going to be something exciting. You don't want to miss it. Again, if you haven't had a chance, just follow us on twitch.tv/RocketPunchLive, and that way you'll know when we go live to talk about this stuff this Thursday.
Yeah, lock in because it's going to be a great conversation.
I'm expecting at least 3 hot takes from Seth after the show.
Oh, only 3 within the first hour.
Yes, within the first hour.
3 within the first hour.
But with that being said, guys, that is going to be a wrap on episode 14 here of the Rocket Punch Show. We want to thank everybody for listening and tuning in. If you're listening via podcast services or watching via Twitch or VOD, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you are watching live, or if you are listening live, it doesn't matter. Like, don't go anywhere. The post show for episode 14 is coming here. We're going to switch offline for just a minute. But if you are a Twitch Prime sub, using your free Twitch Prime sub, or jumping on here on Twitch, or if you are a Patreon supporter over at patreon.com/rocketpunch, you'll be able to get access to the post-show talk, where we'll talk more in depth. Tonight we're going to talk probably a little bit more Xbox stuff. We're going to talk about Ghost of Tsushima, my impressions on that, because I have had a chance to play that game a little bit after coming back from out of town, and a whole lot more shenanigans. So if you don't want to miss the post-show, make sure you're subscribed on Twitch there. But if you're not, that's totally fine, guys. Thank you so much for listening. It is always appreciated. I got nothing else to say, so until then, good night, good game.